the keys are to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback podcast time. We're back to talk 49ers. So,
Bang.
Horse, it's time to kick the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week in free agency. A lot of big names changing places. 49ers have made some big moves, although most of them are retaining guys, but they're still big moves. I'm excited about what's going on.
Not as big of moves the last couple of days. We had the live stream Thursday. We covered a lot of the big stuff, but some new details have emerged.
Right.
So we get to cover that a little bit. We get to talk about a couple of the things they've done today. I'm excited, man. This is fun.
Yeah, now we're starting to get contract details on what happened with Trent Williams, Alex Mack, and kind of all that stuff, which we want to know because we want to know how much money is still available because you got K1 Williams and guys out there that you still like to retain.
Yeah.
They've done such a good job of retaining their guys and then bringing in Alex Mack to just, solidify the offensive line. But let's go over the contract details for Trent Williams. And I think the most striking thing, guys, was the fact that this is basically 2 3-year deals because after the third year, they can have a club option to bring him back. And the money is so nice early on in this contract. Horse, what did you think about the fact that Parag worked out the contract so that way the base salary this year is only $8.2 million?
Well, like I said towards the end of the last podcast, Parag is the real MVP of this team. He always seems to get that done. Anytime there's a big name free agent that they need. Trent, I know the sticker shock, like the number you see when you say $138 million, you're shocked. But if you actually do some research, the contract really isn't that bad. After the fourth year, if they cut him, they would owe him just $6 million. So, that's not too bad. And I think that's fair to expect Trent Williams to play at a high level for another 3 to 4 years. So I'm really excited about the job they did there. He's getting paid. He deserves to get paid. He's one of the best offensive linemen in the league. And I love that he's technically making $10,000 more a year than David Bakhtiari. I found that hilarious.
Yeah, just big shout-outs to Mr. Parag. Just the ability to maneuver the contract and maneuver the money around so that not only is Trent happy, number one, but number two, the Niners have flexibility. Credit to him. You also have to give credit to Trent Williams because he accepted the deal. So, I've been seeing a couple people who still are really upset about the whole how much money, like the big number, the 6 years, the 138. They ignore the $55 million guaranteed. They ignore the $8.5 million cap hit this year. I think is what it's supposed to be.
It's 8.2.
8.2 million.
Yeah.
Okay, so numbers clarified now. 8.2 million, which is great. It's wonderful for us this year.
Yep.
And then the fact that the details emerge now that basically the second half of the contract is a team option.
Yep.
That the team can pick up. It gives them 3 more years, and also gives them room that if they absolutely need to, they can restructure the deal. Move some stuff around as well. More stuff around as well. It's just, you got to give credit to both guys, both halves here. Trent Williams himself for accepting and agreeing to that, because there's some guys who would have wanted more guaranteed money, less questions about things like that. They wouldn't have given the team option. I think him accepting at this late of his career, accepting a team option on the second part of a deal, the second half of a deal, shows how badly he wants to play for Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco.
I think it shows trust too. Trust in the organization that they'll make sure that they always take care of him. I think a very telling thing in this contract was the fact that it's $14.1 million in 2022, which is a cap-friendly number for everyone that was afraid that we're not going to be able to re-sign Fred Warner and get him to an extension. That's another cap-friendly number. They let this escalate, and that's what we were talking about for weeks, is that the cap number this year would be low, and then that it would escalate as it went to make the money work out, so his annual salary would be consistent with $23 million per year, where obviously, they've done a good job of spreading out the signing bonus and all that stuff. So it's going to be very nice for the 49ers moving forward, especially with the rumors that came out today that in 2022 the cap could be as high as $220 million, and that after that, it could go in 2023 all the way up to $235 million because of the new TV deal. The 49ers have definitely planned for this. They understand the cap maybe better than most teams in the NFL, and Trent Williams benefited from it, and the 49ers benefited from it, and they still have other moves to make. And the reason they still have other moves to make is because the details on Alex Mack's contract came out. Alex Mack is going to get a base salary of $1.425 million this year. And so that is a good thing for the 49ers. He did get a signing bonus, but it ended up being a 3-year deal worth $14.5 million, Horst.
And once again, there's Parag at his finest, finding a way to make the money fit. And another thing that's telling about this 49ers organization, coaching staff roster, is that a guy like Alex Mack is willing to accept that deal and not want all that money up front. It tells you that they're a destination. They're a place to go. And I know Alex Mack has his 2 different seasons he played under, or excuse me, 3 different seasons he played under Kyle Shanahan, 1 in Cleveland and 2 in Atlanta. And in Atlanta, he experienced a lot of success, and he made it very clear that Kyle Shanahan's one of the main reasons he came over.
Yep.
So I mean, Alex Mack's a guy I'm really excited to have do the stud, and like everyone's been saying, it should help Jimmy Garoppolo or whoever. If it's another quarterback, that's great too. But if it is Jimmy Garoppolo, it should help him a lot. He doesn't have to worry about Seattle running the same blitz up the middle 6 times in the same series and it working every time. Alex Mack's a very smart guy and should help a lot with their line's issues from last year.
I think the big thing too, and Kenny Samara in the chat, and I know you guys can't see it right now, but in the chat a little bit ago, he said one free agent signing shored up our O-line this year, and he wasn't talking about the Trent Williams signing. He was talking about the Alex Mack signing. He specifically said center.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. The guy's been healthy for a majority of his career. He hasn't had a lot of issues. He hasn't missed a lot of games. This is a guy that's reliable. You can count on him. He's going to be there. He's going to stay healthy. He's going to produce. Please stay healthy. I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to be that guy. But he also understands the system. He gets what's going on in San Francisco. He understands what Kyle Shanahan's run game is about, what they're trying to accomplish, how they want to do it, leverage points of attack, things of that nature. He's got all the finer minutia details of the system down. So you don't have to teach him those things. You don't have to teach him reads. You don't have to teach him the calls. He knows those things. Maybe some of the verbiage has changed from his time in Cleveland, or I think it was Cleveland. Cleveland and Atlanta. Maybe some of the verbiage has changed a little bit, but that's an easy swap and replace. Instead of calling this, we're going to use this term. Instead of this, we use that term. And I would imagine on a regular season basis, from what I've understood about Kyle's system and how complex it is, they probably change verbiage on a week-to-week, game-to-game basis anyway, so this isn't going to be a problem for Alex Mack. On top of that, 3-year deal, the money's not crazy expensive. It's significantly less than we were paying Weston Richburg, and you've restructured Weston Richburg's contract. Now the question is Richburg going to even come back and play? Are they going to be duking it out for that starting center position, or is Richburg just going to retire and we're going to eat whatever's left of that contract?
I mean, I think it's looking like he's going to retire.
I think so, too.
I wouldn't mind if he came back and competed, now that he reworked his contract and stuff, but I think he was just doing the 49ers a solid before he went, on his way. I will say this about Alex Mack. Alex Mack said himself that him being there will do a good job of helping Jimmy Garoppolo. He understands what it means to be a center, be able to make the line calls. We said that so many times last year that it looked like the quarterback wasn't doing a good job of dictating the line calls. Some of that could have, the blocking assignments, some of that could have been the center as well. You're putting Brunskill, kind of throwing him to the wolves, somebody like Ronis Grossu, who's not very experienced in the NFL, and is just not up to the level that these other guys are. So that makes a big point. But I think that overall, signing these 2 guys, Trent Williams and Alex Mack, and having them count for just under $12 million is so huge for a salary cap that was going to, be hard to get under, but they were able to do it. The 49ers have been very strategic and have handled this probably the best that I think even better than I thought they could have. Yep. So it's been 100% great. Alex Mack will be a good fit. Some people have been talking that his PFF grade has been falling as he's been getting older. Let's also remember that his PFF grade has been falling since he's been away from Kyle Shanahan. Maybe that will go back up now that he's in a system that he's comfortable with, doing the things that he's comfortable with. He said that in his interview, that this is what he wanted to do, go to a place where he can be successful in a system that he can be successful, and this is the system for him. So I think the 49ers have got it figured out on the offensive line. I don't think they're done. They're talking to other guys. They're bringing guys in for meetings. They're going to sign some more guys because they're making sure they always improve the team at all areas and all facets. It's going to be a fun offseason, horse, and they did not stop there. They're going after they're making wide receiver moves. They signed a guy from Arizona, Trent Sherfield. I mean, we didn't know much about him. I think a lot of people didn't know much about him. And to kind of coincide that, it was a little bit of distance between, but then they cut Chris Thompson. What do you think about the signing of Sherfield?
One more thing on the lineman.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Oh,
I saw an interesting tweet before I came here today.
Was it from Grant Cohn?
No,
Oh.
it was interesting. And and it was a good point, was that the person that tweeted it talked about that the 49ers have generally trusted their player development.
I saw that tweet.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yep.
And that, with McKivitz and those guys, that don't be shocked if the Niners don't pick an offensive lineman high in the draft or at all, because they do have guys they've been developing. I just thought that was an interesting point of view.
It is a fair point. I think when we're talking about offensive linemen, we've said that for a while, because Daniel Brunskill was somebody that was off the street. He was playing in the AAF, and they brought him in, and look what he's been able to do.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Skule, a late-round pick. Colton McKivitz, a late-round pick. And Kyle Shanahan has already said he likes veteran centers. So I know we were all under the impression, I know Niner fans were under the impression that it was going to be a center, maybe Creed Humphrey, somebody like that in the top several rounds.
It still could be, because while Shanahan likes veteran centers, the Alex Mack details now, the 3-year contract, make me think that they're probably actually likely to take a center in the draft, let him sit for 3 years, and become sort of that veteran presence in 3 to 4 years. If he's sitting for 3 years and in year 4 he's going to end up taking over, or even if they extend Mack 1 more year and then in year 4 he's taking over with 4 years of Shanahan's system under his belt, I think Kyle will be pretty comfortable with that.
I get what you're saying, but you don't have to have a veteran, a guy that's playing 2 or 3 years behind someone. You can get a guy then play 1 year behind someone and become a veteran center in the NFL.
Also true.
Daniel Kilgore, he was a perfect example of that. They had Goodwin. Goodwin was fantastic at stabilizing that offensive line under Harbaugh, and then then Kilgore took over. You don't have to do it right now. Now, the one thing I will pause everyone to think is that we're going to have Alex Mack for 3 years, because during his interview, he said he doesn't know how long he's going to play. He's doing it year to year. Where Trent Williams wants to play till he's almost 40, this guy is taking it year by year depending on how he feels and how he plays, because I think he really cares about what people think about him as far as how his game is. Mm-hmm. If he has a great year and plays well and feels good at the end of the year, we can expect him back. If not, maybe not. But you're right, they could draft someone in this draft. I just don't know if it's as big a option, a pressing need now. So maybe a Myers late in the draft would make more sense than taking somebody like Creed Humphrey in late round 2 or 3, or Landon Dickerson early in round 2. Now, especially since they're thinking Landon Dickerson might even go into the end of the first round.
It's craziness.
Oh, okay, so back to Trent Sherfield.
Yes, back to Trent Sherfield.
49ers signed him. I didn't see the numbers on the deal. I don't know.
They haven't released the numbers yet.
Okay, so
but it's going to be a minimum deal.
Yeah, he's going to be a cheaper guy. I know his big thing is he's a very good kickoff and punt coverage guy. That's how he made it into the NFL, and I'm assuming that's how he's going to have to make the Niners. Now, I did see that Mike Garafolo from NFL Network reported that the Niners do actually like his skill set as a receiver. So that's why he went there, is they're going to give him an opportunity to earn a legitimate receiver spot. So we'll see about that. Honestly, didn't know much about him, but you always need 1 or 2 of those guys. That's a big thing is special teams to come down and make the tackles, make the plays on kick coverage and punt coverage.
Yeah, you definitely do. League minimum this year is about $660,000, roughly, is what it is. So if he is on a league minimum contract, that's about what his cap hit is going to be. It's fine. I mean, there's nothing crazy about this. This is a guy you're just taking a flyer on, taking a risk from. This is something that a lot of the NFC West teams tend to do, is take some of these guys who you may not know a whole heck of a lot about, that play positions on the opposing team, that you're trying to find out maybe some info and intel on their offense. They could potentially add some stuff for you, the special teams aspect, and who knows, maybe there's some skills at the wide receiver position that this guy has that can fill some holes in other places. Nothing crazy. He's got a total in his career over his 3 years, 28 receptions, 340 yards. So nothing crazy to write home about. Nothing insane. Fairly decent catch rate with the exception of 2019, in which he only caught 30% of the balls thrown at him. That's not very good. The other 2 years, though, 70 and 60. But when you're only getting 13 targets, I mean, all it takes is some bad throws and maybe one drop, and your percentage number is going to be down. So this is a good ad for a potential in special teams. It's going to push Travis Benjamin a lot, too, for that last little spot. Maybe he can fit in a gunner role as well. He's going to have plenty of ways to work himself and fit into the system and the offense, as well as in special teams. He's just going to have to find his role.
I think they signed him to be a gunner. I really do. I think it's a special team signing. I think he'll fill out the roster. You need receivers anyways when you get into training camp. So he'll be one of those guys. Last year they had so many injuries. This is a guy that stays healthy. But he's also an improvement in the gunner role. It used to be Raheem Mostert. Once Mostert became a premier running back, then he switched out of that role, and it became Jerick McKinnon last year. And now Jerick McKinnon's gone. And that, I think, is a definite need, is the gunner position. I think it'll also be addressed in draft. Some of these young guys that they bring in will be, trying out for that role. So this guy's spot is nowhere near secure. But this is the second year in a row that the 49ers have signed a special teams guy from Arizona. So I think you're right. I think they do look at it for information about what they can find out about just, what's going on. And then also you just always take a flyer on these guys. You find somebody that's fast, good at what they do, and you just see what can happen. As far as Chris Thompson being gone, really, I mean, just a career marred by injury so far. He's never done anything for the 49ers. I was kind of interested to see what he could do if he ever got on the field, but now that's not going to be an option. They made moves, they made room. As soon as they cut him, they re-signed somebody else. So, I mean, the one thing we got to talk about, though, Horst, this is big.
Huge.
If this was 2012, it'd be serious. But
we're definitely talking about Marquise Goodwin getting cut, right?
Yeah.
If this was 2012, I'd drive down there and punch him in his face.
So, Joe Flacco is leaving New York. He's a free agent. And the 49ers met with him. He left without a deal.
Thank God.
But are you guys interested in having Joe Flacco? Is he Joe Cool or Joe No?
I'm actually good with him coming in as a backup.
Okay.
I don't hate him coming in as a backup.
Right.
If the intention is he's only going to play if the starting quarterback goes down, I'm absolutely fine with that. As much as I hate the fact that he won that Super Bowl, he is a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Right.
He started 175 NFL games. I mean, he's a guy with a lot of experience that could be very helpful to a young quarterback room. Especially, say they go a Kellen Mond or Davis Mills, like a later in the draft quarterback that you can
Davis Mills a later. You mean a second round?
Is that where
Davis
they have
Mills
him going now?
end of the second round, early third round.
He ran a 4.5.
I'm not worried about the 4.5. What I was interested in is watching tape. Eric Crocker was all over it after me. Thank you, Eric Crocker.
But yeah, I'm not opposed to him coming in. I think he brings a lot of experience into the quarterback room. One, to help Jimmy if Jimmy's still the quarterback.
Right.
Two, to help a young draft pick type guy. Say they pick a guy second, third round, wherever, that they aren't planning on starting or playing this year. Flacco would probably be a great guy for him to watch film with. I mean, that's the extent of what I see Flacco doing. Now, if they were signing Flacco with the intention of him playing, I'm going to throw my computer through the TV screen right now, because I don't ever want to see him on the field in a regular game.
I don't like you threatening the television that way.
It's not as far as his veteran presence, leadership type guy, I'd be good with that.
I'm with Niner for life here on Joe. Heck, double
you're
H-E,
Joe
double
Hell No.
Double L, double hockey sticks.
You guys are team Hell No?
For the most part, it's like Joe Flacco with me is I just don't see what the appeal is, like what he adds. The mobility is down. He hasn't really done much of anything. I think I'd prefer Mullins over Flacco, which doesn't say much. No way. Under no circumstances. Like, if you put me in a room and tie me up, put a gun to my head, so you have to choose one of the two, then I'm going to choose Joe Flacco. Because if you tie me up in a room and say, you're going to re-sign Nick Mullins, I'm going to say, pull the trigger. Just end it now. There's no reason. He does not need to be back in the San Francisco 49ers uniform. I just don't see what he could potentially add at the quarterback position. I feel there's some better options still out there
Agreed.
in free agency that we're going to talk about.
I definitely agree.
Now, if they're bringing him in because they want to kind of see what his number is and then maneuver around and figure out what the best option may be, okay, that's fine. I was really relieved when they did not leave with the contract in place, or at least have like terms or things, trying to come up with terms.
Mm-hmm.
That made me breathe a sigh of relief. The last thing that you need to do right now is rush to make a decision. There's a lot of things going on in the quarterback market just in general. There's a lot of things and a lot of options out there. You can just take your time, figure it out. You don't have to rush to anything. But is he the worst option? No. Is he the best option? No. He's just like that. He doesn't move the needle for me.
I think, I put the first response on our Twitter was like, I don't know how I feel about this. And I had a conversation with Mr. Pena Horst, and he was talking
Shout out KP.
Yeah, he was talking about the things that Flacco could do. And it got me to thinking about the things Flacco could do, as far as you're talking about a Super Bowl winning quarterback that has started a lot of football games in the NFL. So if you got to a situation where he needed to come in for a start, you feel like you're in good hands, at least with somebody that's able to operate the offense and be able to execute plays, where we were struggling with that. We need somebody, like we said, that has starting experience in the NFL as a backup. Not saying that he's the ultimate guy to come in and be that, but being able to win playoff games and all that stuff. He could share information with Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe he sees things, a different aspect of breaking down film, like Horst was talking about.
Maybe.
I think he is a possibility. I think the reason they held off a little bit on it was because Ryan Finley became available, and I think that they were maybe interested in him as well. You're looking to upgrade that quarterback position, not at all the positions, not just the starter, but the backups. You're interested in doing it all. I think Jimmy's going to be the quarterback, and they're doing their best to make it. Figure out like what's going to happen.
It's true. Ian, you know what? Even Rosen may not be around for long. He's right, and we should probably at some point take note of that and then actually talk about Rosen.
That's what I was going to say. We're going to talk about Rosen.
We have to, right?
I mean, why
he may not be around.
Let's be honest. Why do you think Grant Cohn started his "Everyone on Twitter tell John Lynch we don't want Joe Flacco"? Because a Joe Flacco signing might signal the end of Josh Rosen.
Correct. So, Ian, you are correct, and we're going to have to jump on that and talk about him before we forget completely or he gets cut and it's too late to talk about him. We don't want that. We don't want to fall behind too far behind.
So I understand the saltiness of Flacco coming to the 49ers. I understand that because, trust me, it was hard taking Anquan Bolden after Anquan Bolden really put a hurting on us in the Super Bowl.
That third down.
So I completely understand the hate of Flacco.
Horst and I were talking about this the other morning, and I specifically said that about Flacco. But one of the reasons why I didn't want to was because of that Super Bowl. I wasn't impressed with the performance. Felt like he was just throwing balls up, and balls were coming down into people's arms. that throw to Anquan Bolden is the one that sticks in my mind the most at the end of the game to extend one of the drives.
Fueled by haterade.
Basically.
You know what they had that we didn't? A quarterback that made plays at the end of the game. I mean, that's literally the difference in the game.
Or just trusted. Well, that's not true because they trusted Crabtree, except he just threw it out the back of the end zone twice. So.
Well, there was a nice hug. I guess hugging's okay.
That was true.
We got that going.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah,
true. We can talk about Rosen at the end. Good
all you guys, by the way, commenting that about Flacco. What if Patrick Mahomes was available?
You know what? There's a lot of people that are on the negative about Patrick Mahomes. 2 subpar performances in the Super Bowl, Horst. He's thrown 4 interceptions in 2 Super Bowl games. Not exactly Joe Montana.
I mean, but who is?
No one.
And don't you dare, Megan. Don't you dare say it. Don't you dare type those
What,
two
is she going to
letters
say
in.
Peyton Manning because she likes the Colts?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Colts.
Anquan Bolden, it was a beast, and just so everyone knows, he was one of my favorite players of all time because of the whole Florida State connection. Phenomenal.
Kind of true.
Yeah.
Dante Johnson re-signed today, gentlemen. He signed a nice contract. Details aren't available yet. It's a 1-year deal. Probably going to be closer to a vet minimum type contract.
It'll be a vet minimum, yeah.
Ant, how do you feel about this?
I love it. I actually love it. He has a lot of experience starting. Last year he played pretty good. He played in the slot. He played on the outside. He basically did whatever the Niners wanted, and he hurt his groin and he played through it. So it's a guy that had toughness enough to get us through a game. I like anytime you have a guy that can last 8 years in the league, it means you have a guy that understands what he needs to do to be ready every single week to play. I think he's a nice backup. He's a solid special teams player. This was a nice move. We needed depth, and he gives a lot of versatility, and this is exactly what we needed. And I think that Horst will think the same thing because we've also kind of been fans of Dante Johnson ever since he came to the 49ers way back with Harbaugh.
Yeah, Dante Johnson I've liked, like he just said, since his first tour with the 49ers. He's everything you want or they look for in those corners. He's tall and lanky. He's smart. He will play special teams even though he's a veteran. And he's one of those guys that if he is like the fourth corner on your team, you have a nice defensive backfield.
Yeah.
I don't know that you want him as one of your starting two, but I'm also not afraid to go into a game with him starting, if that makes sense. I don't think he's a Pro Bowl above average type guy, but I think if you need him, Emmanuel Mosley goes down for 2 games and you have to start Dante Johnson, I'm not scared.
I agree.
He's not going to get Brian Allen.
And if we'd had Dante Johnson in that game instead of Brian Allen playing in that spot, it could have been a different outcome.
He might get beat once.
Yeah, I mean he got beat in the Eagle game, but he's not going to get beat over and over and over.
Yeah, he's not. He is an NFL corner. That's the way I'll put it.
Correct.
Is that
what you were about to say?
Yeah, that was a shot, but basically
at Brian Allen.
Basically, but it was fun.
Yeah.
It was a good shot, though. It was a good shot.
I'd rather have Atticus.
I would too.
Shout out Atticus.
And he's like 17.
He is like 17. But Dante Johnson signing, it is what it is. You got to make moves. You got to add depth. You got to bolster some stuff. You got Kenny Samara said can't body, maybe, but he has a chance to sneak on his way onto the roster.
I think minus some draft picks, that are like big time draft picks. I think he'll make the roster.
Yeah, I think so too, especially with the moves they're making and some of the options they're going with.
Yeah,
I really like it a lot. I don't dislike it. He knows the system. He has familiarity with the backfield, the defensive backfield in the 49ers room. So he's going to fit in great. Chemistry there is going to be great. He's going to be able to, if they do sign young guys, he's going to be able to come in, get the youngsters set straight, smack them around a little bit, let them know what's up and what they need to be doing and how they need to be doing it, which is important, especially with D'Amico Ryans in his first year at the helm. He's going to need some veteran presence in that locker room, helping to guide the youngsters, making sure they're getting the things done that they need to get done, developing the way that they need to develop, and focusing on the key details that he needs them to focus on. Your veterans in the locker room can help with that so that it's not up to the coach to micromanage every single player on the roster. You love to see that. But now, guys, legitimate backup options that are still out there in free agency for the 49ers. We got to discuss this. We got to talk about this because every day we inch closer and closer to Flacco being the only option for the 49ers. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, but there are still plenty of talented guys out there that the Niners can and probably should sign. So let's talk about a couple. We'll start at the very, very top of the list of guys that are still available. Tyrod Taylor has signed. Mike Glennon has signed.
Yeah, Mike Glennon signed.
Tim Boyle has signed. Trubisky signed with Buffalo. I wanted to ask you guys about that. How did you feel about the Trubisky signing in Buffalo?
It means the 49ers didn't want him. Period. Correct. He got a $2.5 million contract. That means the 49ers didn't want him. That was what it signaled to me right away, was that, no, we're not interested in Trubisky. And it might also signal that they were wanting somebody that was more of a veteran. But remember, they were not wanting Trubisky in that draft. They drafted Solomon Thomas. They were perfectly fine with moving back. So he definitely has never been their guy.
Horst, anything to add there?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have hated Trubisky as a pickup. I think he's a backup, but I think once again, if we're talking about him and our backups from last year.
Oh, I would have been in on it. Like, I'm actually one, especially for $2.5 million.
Yeah.
I would have been fine with it. I just think it signals Niners had zero interest.
Yeah. I mean, I think he would have made sense just because he's a guy that he can go in there and win games. You had mentioned this in a previous live stream, Ant. He can win games with a good defense.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Buffalo saw in him, and that's why they went in after him and took a chance, is because, I mean, they didn't feel it was that much of a downgrade over Matt Barkley. But guys that are actually available, starting at the top of the list, 37-year-old quarterback, formerly of the name redacted, Alex Smith, a guy that we've done videos on. A guy that we have discussed at length. How do we feel about it, Anthony?
I mean, I think I went over this last time as far as Alex Smith goes.
You did.
If you are not a fan of Jimmy Garoppolo throwing intermediate and short passes consistently and you want to attack down the field, Alex Smith is not the answer for you.
Correct.
Because he is going to check down all day long, juice on a little out route, swing passes to Mostert. curl passes to Deebo Samuel. Everything will come out. It will be on time. It will be accurate. All that is true about Alex Smith. Alex Smith would be great. Now let's get to the good points though. He will be great in the locker room and in the team in the meetings with Jimmy Garoppolo. 100% Alex Smith could do that. He would be fantastic that way as a presence. But I think as a backup quarterback, it is really close between him and Joe Flacco. I think the only difference is with Joe Flacco, he's still got a heck of an arm, and he can make all the throws. Alex Smith is less mobile than he used to be. If he was as mobile as he used to be, he would probably take a little bit more consideration. But I can't. I love Alex, but I can't see this being a great move for the 49ers. If it came down to choosing between him and Josh Rosen or something like that, or him and Josh Johnson, I'd probably go with Alex Smith.
Yeah, I mean, nostalgia wants me to say yes, bring him back.
Yeah.
And I'm a big Alex Smith guy. But unfortunately, with his age, with that leg injury, and I know he won games in Washington last year, but take a look at his numbers.
Yeah.
It's true. Percentage is nice. The percentage is nice. It is. It's going to be okay, Horse. No, it was a funny one. Kenny's on point today. The big thing with Alex Smith is I think if you bring him in, you're bringing him in as a third option or an emergency type of quarterback. You're bringing him in under those circumstances, and I don't think the 49ers have the cap room in order to make that happen. That would be the only way I see him fitting in San Francisco, is if he's that third emergency QB type player who's coming in to help bolster the quarterback room, help Jimmy with reads. You don't count or plan on him ever stepping on the field, but just in case, if you absolutely have to go that far back, you have a guy there who's won playoff games, taken teams places, and can show that he can win games at the NFL level, and you don't have to have him do a whole lot in order to win games at the NFL level because you have an elite defense. But that's barring them having the cap space to do it, and I just don't see that happening.
What about another former 49er, Colt McCoy?
Oh, man, look at that face. No, Horse?
He kind of falls into the same, except for how much I like him, but he kind of falls into the same category as Alex Smith to me. Anyway.
Except he's still throws down the field.
And significantly more mobile than Smith
significantly more mobile. He's younger.
By a year or two.
He's been in Kyle Shanahan's system.
2 years?
That's true. That part I didn't consider.
Yeah. So you got somebody that already knows the system. I'm just saying, if you're looking for a veteran quarterback, he's somebody that's at least intriguing. And I know somebody brought up C.J. Beathard. I think it was Kenny. C.J. Beathard was out meeting with Jacksonville today. So I think the 49ers are ready to let C.J. Beathard move on.
I see my guy Matt Barkley sitting there.
Matt Barkley is sitting there, but I don't know.
I mean, to me, none of these guys scream great, options for the 49ers.
It's a cute hat. It's too bad no good quarterbacks ever come out of there. Really a shame. What about good old
Carson
Blaine
Palmer?
Gabb? Nope, we're not even going to talk about him. The only other name that I see on this list of potential free agent quarterbacks that, maybe they can look at is A.J. McCarron.
We bring old Brian Hoyer back?
A.J. McCarron, there is Brian Hoyer. There's also Marcus Mariota, who was just released.
RG3.
Was he released yet?
Well,
they asked him to take a pay cut.
He said no. The rumor was then that they were cutting him.
They're going to try to trade him first.
They're going to try and trade him first. Who is going to take that contract on?
I don't know. Did you see the contract that Andy Dalton got or the contract Tyrod Taylor got?
Very true.
What would stop Jacksonville from trading for Marcus Mariota to back up whoever they draft? It would be perfect for them.
It would be. I love how you said whoever they draft.
Because you never know about Urban Meyer.
You don't ever know about Urban Meyer.
And Justin Fields is going to run a 4.3 at his pro day. So,
well, if Davis Mills is running a 4.5, then yeah, that's true.
Well, Justin Fields just ran a 4.41 the other day at a workout.
Oh my lord.
So
yeah, you didn't mention RG3.
There's a reason.
And we'll move on. There's a reason.
Unless he's going to get robot legs. I don't think so. Horst.
It's true. Is his ACL still held together with paper clip and gum?
It's something, man. He just doesn't move good. And I think what's bad is he's never developed a very good pocket game. I mean, when he came in for Baltimore, I watched it a lot. He struggles. I definitely wouldn't go that route at all.
It's true.
I would actually, it's tough, but you gotta draft somebody if that is your best option, in my opinion.
I don't disagree with you. Kenny Samara said Mariota looked good last year. He did look good.
Yeah, he did. I think he would be a good option, but you're not going to pay $10 million to your backup. That's why, like, a lot of people are saying, once the Jets draft Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold would be an option for the 49ers as a backup, but not at $9 million. You're not going to pay your backup $9 million, but he would be a solid backup.
Absolutely. Beat hard, did better than Pick Mullins. It's correct.
He did.
Pick 6 Mullins didn't do a whole.
Urban Meyer equals Oscar Meyer's cousin.
That's inaccurate, Tommy. How dare you? That's slanderous. So some of the stuff now with some of the more, I guess, complicated portions of contracts being released, the Niners look like now they have an estimated cap space of about $10.5 million is what the number looks like.
Negative.
What do you think it is?
It is closer to $16 million because of the DeFord restructuring that hasn't been figured into the number.
All right.
Of course, the Dante Johnson will take up about $1.5 million.
About that.
So you're probably talking
15 million.
High 15s.
Nice.
Because it was close to 17.
So that's a great thing. You love to hear that. You love to see it because now the next question that pops into people's minds are who are some guys that the 49ers could still target in free agency to bolster some depth at positions? Well, and a name that's been getting thrown out a bunch is one Philip Lindsay.
He's already signed today.
Oh, did he just sign? Who did he sign?
Houston Texans.
With the Texans.
He got a $3.2 million contract.
And that actually kind of makes sense. He kind of fits into that scheme and that mold. I know they got rid of Dick Johnson, and he kind of takes over. But
now they got him. They got the other Johnson.
They got a lot of Johnsons.
And they signed what's his name from Baltimore, Horst. What's his name from Alabama? Ingram. They have that. They have like 5 running backs now.
It's a lot of running backs.
Yeah. Houston also traded for Ryan Finley today.
It's true.
So now they have Tyrod Taylor and Ryan Finley. I wonder why they're preparing.
One guy
there's a reason.
I found interesting at the start
was K1 Williams.
I still find him interesting. I don't know if he's been picked up, but he was one of the backs in Houston last year, Duke Johnson from Miami.
Yeah.
I just think he kind of screams Shanahan's offense, and he's cheap. He's real explosive, he's quick, and he catches the ball well out of the backfield. I'm talking as a backup, not as a guy to bring in and start. But
I'm not sure they're going to sign veteran, because I think if they were, they would have went Lindsey. To me, he made the most sense for them.
There's Deshaun Jackson.
I mean, he's still out there. I think there are receiver options out there. But the first thing we have to do is target what are the needs still. Like, where are the 40... Right, offensive line, probably.
O-line, probably.
Defensive line.
D-line, yeah.
And
depth.
Nickel.
Yep.
And there's always a possibility of improving the linebacker position. A lot of 49er teammates are trying to bring back Quan Alexander. I saw it on social media. They're trying to bring him back.
And in all honesty, it's not the worst thing in the world, especially if he's going to take a vet minimum deal.
Well, they're already paying him $6 million this year. They might as well get him to come play.
Get something out of it, right? you're putting money down. Get something out of that whole ordeal there.
I'd be fine with that.
I don't think I'd hate that either. I mean, in all honesty, there's just so many different things they could do. There's still so many possibilities and potentialities out there, and there's still some big names that are being thrown about. And of course, Kenny says here Frank Gore as a third down pass pro type back. Yeah, but I don't think that's a route you're going to go because you have a third down back type player already.
I mean, to me, he doesn't make sense as a third down back.
No.
Because your third down back usually catches the ball in the backfield and does all that stuff. At this stage in his career, I don't see him as that. I think the other guys they already have make more sense as a third down back. They could also get somebody in the draft, but I honestly don't think the 49ers need a third down back with Mostert, Wilson, and Hasty. They can all do it.
But another name we talked about him the other day is this is if they can't get K1 Williams back, Adoree Jackson.
Too expensive.
You think he's going to be too expensive?
$10 million for Adoree Jackson.
You think someone's going to pay him that?
I don't know, but dude, right now the corners are still going for $8 to $10 million, and he's still an athlete. Him and see Fuller hasn't got officially put on the market yet. They said they're going to cut him, but he hasn't gotten cut yet.
It's true.
So Adoree Jackson's still one of those top flight names. I just think those guys might be too expensive for the 49ers.
If you're looking for linebacker help, Reuben Foster's a free agent.
And he's probably still with the same girl, and they'll probably still get in a fight and then go to the masseuse.
That poor guy.
Of somebody else.
And by poor guy, I mean just what kind of life choices are you making?
Made terrible choices. Oh, and Kerry Hyder has not signed with anyone yet.
Correct. He is still available.
He's still available.
Yeah.
And I think he's still a target for the 49ers. I think they still want Hyder and they still want K'Wan Williams, but they're just waiting it out to get the right price.
And there's still some other guys that we had talked about. K'Wan Short as a potential option. He's still available. He hasn't signed. He would add some depth at the D line position. Carlos Dunlap is another guy who I had brought up last year as a potential trade option for the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
He's still a free agent. He hasn't signed. He's 32. Might have a little more speed than Hyder off the edge.
Oh, he does. He definitely does.
So he might be a fit. It's just a matter of what is his number
It's
going
all about
to
numbers.
be. Exactly.
Some of these guys are probably not going to go until after the draft.
And here's another interesting one that comes up. I like him as a nickel is Nickel Roby Coleman.
I know you like Nickel Roby Coleman.
He played well on the Rams and on.
Yeah, I mean he's really good at pass interfering. So
Also true. True.
Went to the Super Bowl.
Guys, name that we haven't thrown out yet at all.
Kelechi Osemele.
Not that name.
is that how you say it?
I don't know.
That is a name. Right
I thought
there.
it was Oselmi, but I don't know.
Osalmi?
Yeah, I think so.
You
Something
know
like
who
that.
I meant.
Possibly.
Ziggy Ansah.
Not again.
He's not coming back. it's over. It's done. It's past. A corner that we haven't talked about at all. Malcolm Butler. Thoughts?
I still think he's sitting out there waiting for that contract. I think that a lot of these corners, I mean, think about it, you got Richard Sherman still out there, Adoree Jackson, Fuller's going to be added to the mix. These guys are waiting out there to get $10 million contract. And I think Fuller is the next one that people are waiting for to come off the board once he's officially released. He's an all-pro level talent, so somebody's going to wait for him. And then after that, it will start going accordingly, and then that's when you'll see Malcolm Butler possibly be somebody that they're interested in. But, yeah, I think it's kind of wait and see with these guys.
Another guy I'm really hoping they're looking at still is Jordan Reed.
Yeah. I think he's going to be one that's probably going to wait until after the draft. I would imagine a guy like him, Jadeveon Clowney, maybe even Malcolm Butler are guys that would be after draft kind of signees because once teams address needs or don't address needs, they kind of know what their market is and what teams they can be looking at and where they can go to potentially get the most money or,
I think Clowney's in for a rude awakening.
Yeah.
He's not going to get money this time.
Aaron Lynch.
I mean, I like Aaron Lynch, but I don't see it.
I don't see it either. I don't see
Alden
it
Smith is still out there.
It's true. Alden Smith is an option.
Back-to-back Super Bowl champion LaShawn McCoy.
Oh, God. Another wide receiver that's starting to get tied to the 49ers, Golden Tate.
It's true. I
Really?
did see rumors of Golden Tate to the 49ers.
So he can go there and fight Jalen Ramsey. That's
Twice a
exciting.
year. Twice a year. I think that's an intriguing option for him.
I think we sign him just so twice a year he goes and punches Ramsey and gets them both kicked out of the game. I like it.
I'd be fine with that, too. I think
solid strategy.
Worth every penny.
Golden Tate is actually a good possession receiver that can play in the slot.
Yeah.
He's as a veteran, that would be a solid move. Good possession guy. You can always count on him to catch the ball out of the slot. I think that would actually be a great signing. Just depends on how much money he wants to make.
True. Someone had brought up earlier that Tartt's gone. Yeah, he's gone. He's not going to be re-signed in San Francisco. There's probably no chance.
There's more chance of
whatsoever.
Richard Sherman playing safety in San Francisco than Jaquiski Tartt.
And that was the thing I was going to bring up. Is after our last live stream on Thursday, we all kind of had a little chit-chat, a little powwow about this because we were sitting there going, what is Sherman's market value actually going to be? What is someone going to actually pay for him? And if no one comes back to him with a lot of money, would he come back to San Francisco and be like, hey, you know what? I just want to stick it out here the rest of the way. How do we've all talked about this already, so kind of let everyone else know how we're feeling about this, and if he did come back, and he'd obviously be coming back on a very team-friendly deal, what are you looking at him in terms of how does he fit into the 49ers defense?
Well, he did 3 weeks of parading around talking about how him and the 49ers had a great talk, but it wasn't going to work out, followed by right after the whole free agency started, saying that the door was open for a return, that he would welcome that, which means he didn't find what he was looking for on the market, and he's interested in coming back. If I'm the 49ers, I'm not interested on bringing him back. I'm ready to move on. He did not look good, especially last year. We had always talked about the possibility of him moving to free safety. He has said he has a couple more years of playing. I think he wants to be a corner and play that way. But, I mean, even then, I'm ready to see what Tarvarius Moore can do in a full season. So I wouldn't do it. But I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers brought him. He's instinctive. He recognizes offenses and schemes. he could probably be a very successful free safety. So if they ended up doing it, I think it's saying less about Richard Sherman and more about the fact that they think Tarvarius Moore is not a eventual starting safety in the league.
So, another guy to bring up, just because Kyle likes those real fast guys, Andy would solve the kick return problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Black Mamba, Anthony Thomas.
Super fast. Yeah,
That's what he's just a guy that adds a dimension that you can't coach.
Right.
I'm just looking through names. This is what
I mean, I see somebody that talked about Alden not coming back because of this areas where he had all of his problems. The difference is the girl that he had all the problems with is in New York living with Colin Kaepernick, so she's far away.
Yeah. So Mark, if you didn't know that, Alden has nothing to worry about because the person who was kind of the toxicity in his life is now with another person.
I think
doing other things.
I mean, if it is really a trigger for him, I don't want him to come back.
Correct.
If the area is the trigger, don't come back. But if it was more the people that he surrounded himself with and he's fixed that now, then 100% he would be somebody we'd be interested in having back.
And I want everyone to think about that. That's a very easy thing to measure. He didn't have any issues at Mizzou. He came to San Francisco. He didn't have issues when he first got to San Francisco.
Right.
Once he started dating her, that's when he had started having problems. When he got to Oakland, he was still dating her for a little bit. I think he was still he was still in contact.
No, that's why him and Colin got into a fight.
That's right.
On the Niners.
You didn't have to deal with that. So once he got to Oakland, things cleaned up a little bit. He got himself straightened out and together, and he's flourished in his 1 year with Dallas. So it's not an issue of where he's at. It's not the location. It's the people. So as long as he puts the right people around him, he'll be fine. This isn't a Josh Gordon issue where he has a problem with a specific, like something that it's hard to control.
Right.
This is something that's easily controllable. Who do you put yourself around? Interesting, Tommy. Very interesting. No comment, Tommy. No comment. Megan Davidson asks, what do you guys think about Geno Atkins from the Bengals? Would you target him if he's healthy?
It just comes down to money. He's still a good player.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, putting him inside, yeah. I mean, you're always looking to improve your defensive line and having defensive line depth. Right now, interior defensive line depth is still an issue because you've got, now that you brought DJ Jones back, you got him, Kinlaw, Kevin Givens, and then Darion Daniels, who it depends on who you're talking to, whether they believe that he is a legitimate, backup in this league. I'm not a huge fan. He had moments last year where he looked okay, but they kept moving him back to the practice squad, which doesn't scream that he was ready to go. So they definitely need to make a move, but they could address it in the draft, like we talked about with Lee McNeil or Darius Stills from West Virginia. I know they've met with him, so those are possibilities.
If they somehow manage to come out of that draft with Lee McNeil,
I don't know if that's going to happen now because I don't think the 49ers will go past 40, the 43rd pick, I think it is, without selecting Davis Mills.
True.
I have this weird feeling about them not being able to move past this guy. I think they're gonna fall in love with him.
The Niners?
The Niners.
Don't say that.
I'm sorry. I think it could happen.
Speaking of D-line depth.
Oh boy.
Deion Jordan still sitting there.
Wants to be a 49er. I say he could definitely be back
as a depth
49er.
player.
Yeah.
He's a league minimum guy. He said he wants to retire a Niner. I don't see why he wouldn't come back.
I mean, I don't disagree with you there, not at all. Some guys, some free agents at the line position. Mike Pouncey, he's available. He's out there.
He retired.
Did he retire?
Both Pouncey's
retired.
retired.
Both of them retired.
Yeah.
All right, then we don't have to worry about that. An older gentleman, Mr. Russell Okung, guys. We have a lot of familiarity with him. Do you think he adds depth at that tackle position and would be an option if, say, someone like a Mike McGlinchey happened to go down?
If we're talking in the season, maybe. But I still even think then the 49ers are going to roll with Skule and with Brunskill and with Colton McKivitz. I think that they've got depth. And even right now, if he went down, you still have Sean Coleman on the roster as well.
It's true.
Any one of those four guys are, to me, better options because of cap savings money-wise than Russell Okung.
I like it.
Kenny thinks we need a run stuffer. That is what DJ Jones is for.
True. That's why they re-signed him.
Well, they did, and I seen somebody say about Barrymore. I mean, he's a great player. Are we gonna pick him at pick 12? Or are we gonna trade back and get him? That's a good question. And will 49er fans accept them going defensive line in the first round again? Aleem McNeil you could get in the second round. Maybe Niner fans wouldn't be as upset about going second round.
And I would absolutely love the pick.
Yeah. I like him too, but you could probably get, Stills in the 5th round.
It's true.
And there are other options, but I mean, those are guys that are on the tip of our tongue.
You could also grab a guy like Jalen Phillips. And Jalen Phillips at the DN position.
I need to watch that video you sent.
That video that I watched today, and maybe I'll shout the guy out. He's got a lot of subscribers already. He don't need our help, that's for sure. But he had a breakdown of Jalen Phillips video today that came out and released that I loved, and it was comparing Jalen Phillips to the Watt brothers themselves.
Yeah,
and how a lot of his skill sets already translate to things that they do in the NFL and that they've been doing for years, and that he reminds him of the Watt brothers, and that he might be one of the best pass rushers in this draft, like complete tool-wise.
100%. Yeah, he's one of the most polished guys, and that's why a lot of people look at the way he uses his hands and say it reminds him of a Bosa, because the way he uses his hands does remind him of a Bosa. He's the most polished. I think that's why I said before, remember, that I would actually prefer him over Gregory Rousseau.
Yes.
It's for that reason. That's why I like him. I like Joe Tryon. I like those guys as far as like skill set and stuff. There's a lot of edge pass rushers in this draft that are good options for the 49ers. Now, by making the moves that they did already, they've pretty much already shored up somewhat of the outside, pass rush situation, but they still can work on base downs. Guys that can come in and be that rotation, when Bosa's out, in his breaks. And that's why Kerry Hyder would be so big if he was coming in. That way Armstead could, move inside, get breaks, all that good stuff.
Yeah, the O-line, I don't think they're gonna go too much with older guys, and the D-line, like he said, I think we're looking more for interior guys at the moment. I could see them still bring back a Deion Jordan or one more.
I mean, the reason you could still go edge in the draft, like a Jalen Phillips, would be fantastic especially a rotation as a rookie, and then an eventual replacement for somebody if you need it, or if you need to move Armstead in, whatever. Where you got
I actually, that idea there is the one I like the most, is the eventuality of Armstead moving in and a guy like Jalen Phillips becoming your every down guy on the outside. That is a great option because it gives you, it takes some of the strain off of not D4, excuse me, but some of the strain off of Armstead having to jump around all the time and being in different spots.
Yeah,
you can kind of play him in one because he has a lot of strengths there on the inside. It's just, can he handle the run stopping aspect from playing inside on the D line?
Well, I think that was the issue when you had Armstead and Buckner playing inside together, is you didn't have a true run stopper on the inside. And so if you go to that makes Kinlaw the 0 tech. And if he's playing, or the 1 tech, I'm sorry, if he's playing the 1 tech, then you're going to struggle a little bit on the inside, just because, yes, he's huge and big, but that's not really what he does. He's a 3 tech, so you're going to change what he plays. He basically becomes a nose tackle. So, I think that is a big choice and a big adjustment. But I think there's edge rushers all throughout this draft, some that we really like. And now that the 49ers, have made an edge rush move, then we know, and this is going to be sarcasm for everyone that doesn't know, because we get hated on this for all the time, is 3-4 outside linebackers actually translate to 4-3 defensive end and pass downs, which people didn't know that, and they've been arguing with us. We've said it's true. The only difference is you put your hand in the ground. Kyle Van Noy has been doing this for years.
Sure.
They also, other guys have been doing it. D Ford, believe it or not, when he was in Kansas City, was a 3-4 outside linebacker.
It's crazy.
It's amazing how Charles Haley was a 3-4 outside linebacker, but was able to rush off the edge in the 49ers defense, even when it had changed to a 4-3 later in the 90s. It's tremendous, but all those guys are available, and I think
sure?
I'm pretty sure.
If that translates.
I don't know. I've went to a few clinics in my life, Horst. Just a few.
Couple?
I've only heard a couple of coaches speak.
Here's my hand. I'm going to put it on the ground.
Some of the greatest coaches I've heard speak in person, and it's like people were still telling me, no, can't possibly happen. Stop getting fixated into that. Any player can play any position, and a real coach will find the best position for that talent. That's when you have a real creative guy, is when they design a role for a certain guy. A lot of people forget that in the 80s, the elephant position was created for Charles Haley. There was no elephant position before that. They created it for him.
True. Very, very accurate. Gary says Aziz light. Maybe. We'll see.
Aziz is light,
Yep.
but he's the same size as the guy they just signed. What's his name? I'm going blank.
Ebicom?
Ebicom. Thank you. They're the same size. So the things that I talked about on the last live stream, though, the difference between those two guys is Aziz is just a straight outside pass rusher right now. He doesn't have the strength to get his hands up underneath the offensive lineman and push and bull rush back in. He can't get his hands to the chest plate yet, at least not to the level that Ibaka can. But I think that they could eventually train him so he's a first round talent, somebody that still interesting, but I think he's sliding a little bit.
A little bit.
I think a lot of us thought he was 15 to 20, and now they're thinking 25 to 30.
Yeah, which, I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing for the 49ers.
Not for us.
Not for us at all. I mean, that just means you can get some value there. You can trade back a little bit and make some moves if you need to. I'm not convinced anymore that the Niners need to draft at 12 anymore. I think they can leverage that pick for a lot of capital this year and in future years in order to make some quality picks at those positions in the next couple of years' drafts. So I'm not convinced. I'm not sold that they have to take someone at 12.
To me, from about 28 to like 65 is the most value in the entire draft.
Agreed.
And having the most picks there will be the most important. But can they maneuver enough to do it, or do they should they? Because I think they're going to want to get a certain type of players in those roles. Of course, do you think they'll be able to move around and do it, or what are they going to do?
I'm expecting a trade back. Honest.
Yeah.
Unless something crazy happens where Pitts or
Penei Sewell.
Penei Sewell,
Gotcha, fam.
or one of those guys falls back. Someone that's unexpected that they really like falls back.
Like in our mock draft 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that. And then I think other than that they'll trade back.
Yeah. I mean, with Fuller going to Miami, now they were all slated for Jamar Chase or one of the wide receivers. Are they now? Do they go the tight end, Kyle Pitts, or do they trade out of that spot and somebody come up, a quarterback needy team come up and now get a quarterback?
I see them more trading back now than anything, and that it doesn't scare me, but it makes me think that maybe the Niners are an option there to come up. It also makes me think that maybe a team that may come up is a team like the Eagles. They may come up.
Right.
They could end up coming up in that spot.
If they come up, would you want Jalen Hurts? Would you then, if you're the 49ers, do you call them and offer them like a third-round pick or comp pick?
No.
Like, you know what? Give us Jalen Hurts. He's started football games. He's a better backup than what we got.
As a backup option?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not.
I mean, because that's a signal that they don't want him as a starter.
Yeah, I wouldn't hesitate for that.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not one bit.
Yeah. We know he's the playoff quarterback.
He is. If you don't get that joke, you should go back and watch some of our old videos, specifically our Eagles one where we snuck into Philadelphia Eagles facility. That's right, we snuck in. Definitely snuck in.
Me and Ant even interviewed a coach.
Yeah, he looked kind of like Alex.
He did.
He was very sweaty.
Very handsome individual too. I gotta say, nice
Is that what they
jawline,
say?
big nose. He had a sweet pair of sunglasses. Also, I don't know if you guys saw those sunglasses. They're sweet.
They were
Sweet pair of shades. Really like.
I don't know. I liked David Gettleman the best.
Gettleman was
why? Because he likes all the big people.
He likes the big people. He's a big fan of the big people. I don't know.
I think
The weirdest one was the Gay Sanya guy.
Yeah.
The eyes.
Gase Sanya.
Yeah. The eyes, the voice. He just kind of creeped me out a little bit. I wasn't a big fan of him. Wasn't a big fan. We didn't really need to cut in. We stopped right in the middle of our episode to cut into his interview.
But he knows Archie and Peyton, so
it's true. He knows a lot about the Mannings.
He did. There was some good questions.
There was decent
great
questions.
reporter names.
Great. Tommy Huxley says Surtain is overrated. I don't know about that. I don't know about overrated. I think he's about where he should be.
You think so? Because right now they're mocking him in the top 10.
Oh, then yeah, never mind. I thought he was going to be a top 15 guy.
I think they're starting to move him into the top 10, and him or Farley's going to go in the top 10, and then
the other one's going 12 to 20, somewhere in there.
J.C. Horn. I've seen a mock the other day where they had him going 12 to the Niners. I don't know if that's still a thing or not.
Tommy, I'm curious. Where do you rate Surtain?
It's true. What do you have him? What do you think?
Because I would say he's top 20.
Yeah, and that's where I feel he was going. So for me, it's not like. When I hear that, I don't immediately go, "Oh yeah, overrated." I think that's about right. It's about where he should be, somewhere in that 20 range. Anyone? How do we feel about Rondale Moore, gentlemen?
It's fast.
He is pretty gosh darn quick.
Yeah, I think he's one of those guys. If you're looking for someone to stretch the field that can do things out of the slot, 100%, he's somebody to be interested in. Once again, though, it's a guy that's probably going to go in that mid to late first round, not really where the 49ers are picking. And can the 49ers turn around and go a first round wide receiver when they already went first round wide receiver last year?
And is that the first round wide receiver you want to go with, a guy that's coming off injuries?
And are you going to pick a receiver in the first round to be your third receiver?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so.
You get what I mean?
No,
we're not the Cowboys.
I mean, in back-to-back drafts, they went second and third round receivers.
Shots on everybody there,
with Debo and Jalen Hurd, and then they went first round last year.
I know.
So I don't see them going receiver in the first round.
I don't either. Tommy thinks he's the third best in the draft. He gets burnt on the deep pass.
I mean, that's a valid point.
His speed
could be third in the draft.
His speed is the concern too. That's the thing that he doesn't have elite speed. So I mean, yeah, he could be the third best in the draft.
I'm curious to see what he runs in his 40.
That is going to be the big one.
If I'm guessing, it's high 4.4 or 4.5.
What if it's over 5?
Then he's an offensive lineman.
Oh, he's never playing. Yeah, he's never going to play down in the NFL.
If he runs over a 5, Horse, you do realize I've ran under a 5. So
have I.
That's not good.
And we all know Coach Collins thinks I'm slow. Very slow.
For a receiver.
I tried my entire life to be fast, and it just never. I worked really hard. I did all the things that I could.
I was an offensive lineman.
Just slow. It's really depressing. It's really
Thanks,
sad.
Gary. We appreciate that.
Hey, Gary, not everyone likes to hit that like button.
It's true.
People have been hitting that subscribe button, and we do appreciate that. As you can see up there, the latest subs has been changing the whole time. I've been scrolling through all the new people who've been subbing. We greatly appreciate that. And again, the people who are showing up, remember, are publicly subscribed to the page. So if you don't see your stuff popping up, you don't see your name popping up in the latest subscribers, I just hit that subscribe button. You're not publicly subscribed. Go back to your page profile, mess with some of your settings, make your page public. You'll start popping up in our latest subcategory. Also, when you subscribe, you get a nice little notification that pops up on the screen. The only one that's happened with, though, so far is Tanya. Tanya's the only one who's done that while we're live streaming. So, yeah. Neither did Sherman, though. I mean, not wrong.
Yeah.
Not wrong. But there are some guys, Rondale Moore is good for us as a kickoff and punt return. There are some guys that we really like that you can get much later in the draft who would also be good in those roles. Guys like Marquez Stevenson.
Yeah.
From Houston.
Yeah, I think there's going to be lots of guys that you could get that are going to be on people's radars. Late. Those are kind of the late guys you guys are looking at. I mean, look at some of the freakish stuff that just happened this week, like with Josh Matter-Beebe. He just ran a 4.48, and then his vertical is like 46 inches. Like, that is just ridiculous. Matter-Beebe from PFF, they think he's going to be a 7th round guy. He reminds me of Mohamed Sanu. He's definitely going to be a 4th.
Mohamed Sanu, huh?
Yeah, watch him play. His play style is Mohamed Sanu. And if you don't see it, then it's just me. But as soon as I saw it, it screamed Mohamed Sanu to me.
True.
Well, then that'd be a nice pickup.
But right now, PFF's got him in the 7th. I don't think he's going to the 7th, though. I think he's a 5th round, like 4th or 5th round pick.
Yeah, absolutely. Chat, why don't you guys start throwing out some questions? We'll start doing some live Q&A right now. Start typing up your questions in the chat. It can be draft related. It could be a signing that you want to see. It could be, why is Horst wearing a Trojans hat? The Trojans stink. I don't care what it is, so long as you type it in the chat so we can get back to you on it.
Oh, Chuba Hubbard is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I see that. Is a running back from
Oklahoma State.
Yeah, he's from Oklahoma State. It's Chuba Hubbard. Unless he's talking about, what's the one from Kansas? Puka Williams. Clarify which one you're talking about, Chuba or Puka. Is it Kansas or Oklahoma State? If it's Chuba Hubbard, then it's Oklahoma State.
Agree with Gary. Get to hitting that like button, folks, if you haven't already. Smash that thing into oblivion right now. But as I clarified with Gary on Thursday, just once. You just got to hit it once. Yeah. Once it lights up, you've done it. You're good. You don't need to hit it again. Where is Sanu playing now?
Nowhere.
In his backyard.
Yeah, I can't remember where Sanu landed somewhere after San Francisco. Yeah, I think he did. Detroit. And I don't think he's anywhere right now. Unfortunately, his speed fell off.
Yes.
In a big way. And I think that really hurt him. I liked Mohamed Sanu, especially when he was in Atlanta. And I think Kyle really was hoping it was the same Mohamed Sanu.
And I'm not going to lie, I'm getting a little jealous right now. Tommy's talking about how Horst is his boy. Horst is supposed to be my boy. So hands off, Tommy.
Well, you know why? It's because it's a Southern Cal thing.
I mean, I get
you
that.
Just don't have appreciation for Southern Cal.
I may not have an appreciation for Southern Cal, but I appreciate more things about this man than Tommy ever could. So
okay. Well, that's weird, man. That's possessive.
It's a little bit.
You're getting weird.
It's a little much.
That's weird, man.
Who's the best nickel out in the draft and free agency, guys?
in the draft, I think it's either Molden from Washington
Yes.
or Trill Williams from
Syracuse.
Those are my two guys.
One of the Bang Bang Hood
I think
Gang
it's
bros.
Asante
Yeah.
Williams or Asante Samuel.
Could be Asante Samuel. I did watch a lot of his games. I just wonder if somebody's going to draft him to play on the outside horse.
I would say in free agency, I think we're all in agreement here. It's K1 Williams.
K1 Williams.
It's not even
Or
close.
No, it's definitely K1 Williams.
definitely K1.
You just went from being Tommy's boy to not being Tommy's boy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. He's kind of like Tommy's boy.
Tommy's boy.
Hey. But no, it's definitely K1. It's definitely K1 Williams, and we're hoping that the 49ers will sign this man, and that we'll be able to find a way to get it done. If you are in fact right, Ant, that the number is about $15 million, then there is in cap space about low to mid 15s. There is a possibility that the 49ers could 100% sign this guy. All right, 100%. Oh my gosh, I hope so.
No, Tommy, he's a Florida Gators fan.
I'm a Florida Gators fan.
Shot to the heart.
My word. But yeah, there's still a chance the Niners
Rob
could
Swinker,
100%
my hero.
get this guy. 100% could still get him. Who do you think would be the best fit for us in the slot? I'm assuming you mean
Corner or receiver?
yeah. If it's corner, then we all probably agree K1 is option number 1, and then after that, all of us differ a little bit. I would absolutely love Elijah Molden out of Washington. I also would love Trill Williams of the Bang Bang
I like
Gang
both of
from
them.
Syracuse.
Yeah.
Pretty much anyone from that Syracuse secondary that's coming out this year is a solid take somewhere and is going to fit in really well with the team in the NFL.
I would also, if K1 leaves, I would also be okay with Emmanuel Mosley filling the slot role and then making a move for another outside corner.
Sure.
Maybe they draft someone in the first round, move him inside, or make that pesky trade for Stephon Gilmore and then move Mosley inside.
Sure. Kenny Samara said both. I remember both had crazy names. Puka and Chuba both have pretty unique first names, but had Barry Sanders type skills. I don't know if Chuba is as much of the elusive guy. He feels like he's more of a downhill runner. He does have
He
some.
means Puka.
Yeah.
Well, he said both. He did say both.
Okay, so we'll just go over both.
But yeah, but Chuba is not so much the elusive guy.
He's slasher.
Yeah, much more of a one cut kind of guy, plant his foot in the ground, get uphill. He's not the elusive type. You're not gonna watch a lot of his highlights and see him breaking a bunch of ankles. It's more of him hitting a hole, running through tackles, running through arm tackles, breaking out in space. He's a fantastic running back, and in all honesty, he probably wouldn't be a bad fit in Shanahan's system.
He's Jeff Wilson Jr. I mean, that's really what he is. That exact style of runner. That is Chuba Hubbard to a T.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
It's true. Absolutely true. For slot wide receivers, man, there's a lot of options.
Yeah,
a lot of
there's a
options
lot
in
of
a lot of
options.
different places.
I mean, it all depends on, too, if you're going to go veteran. I mean, we already got Travis Benjamin. I think he's for sure an option. He's already there. Jalen Hurd as a power slot. If he can stay healthy, you got him. So I think they'll have other guys. And there are receivers out there that are like speed guys that we could go after, like we talked about with Deshaun Jackson and some of those guys. As far as in the draft, Amari Rogers is somebody to look at. Shai Smith from South Carolina. I think those are kind of the slot guys I kind of go to because those are the guys that would kind of be in the range where the 49ers would draft because I don't think they're going to be able to get like Rondell in the first round or any of that stuff. So those are kind of the guys I'm looking at, but there are guys that in this draft they can pick up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Does the price of Deshaun Watson go down if he decides to sit out this year? No. If Deshaun Watson sits out, the price doesn't go down.
No,
Pretty simple.
as long as he's sitting out at home and not somewhere else.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Then we won't get into those details because there's just a lot going on out there. But if he decides to sit out this year, like just to sit out, as in everything else gets cleared up and the Texans decide not to deal him, then no, his price does not go down because he's still an elite quarterback.
Yeah.
Absolutely 100%. Cal fan, yeah, Cal. Why do you guys? Which do you guys like better, our zone coverage or the switch to man?
See, I think what makes our defense more successful is that they're able to do both.
Yep.
I think we have to be able to do both.
They have to be able to run shell coverages. Shell coverages is when you show one and then be able to switch late and run the other one. That's what confuses the quarterbacks. That's why Jared Goff struggled so much against the 49ers. They were able to confuse him with not just blitzing, but also with coverage scheme. They could make it look like it was man and then run zone and vice versa. And they would also run, a bunch of different things. Cover 6, cover 3. They mix it up a lot. That's what they need to be doing.
True. The more you mix it up, the harder it is to predict what you're doing. The more options you have, the more variety you have. You don't also pigeonhole yourself into certain types of players. You can do a lot of different things. So I think the more diversity they have with that secondary and the more things they can do with it, the better for the defense overall. Rosen or Mullins, boys? I'm pretty sure someone has asked this before, possibly.
Mullins or Rosen, huh?
That's a tough one.
No, I'd rather go with a vacant spot.
We're gonna go with
Single wing.
we're gonna go with Wisniewski.
Josh Johnson.
I would say that before those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are just not there. Just not.
Stafford will own the 49ers.
Lol. Oh, we got a Rams fan in the chat, boy.
Yeah,
we got a Rams fan in the chat, gentlemen.
I am glad that the Rams got Stafford.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll make games more exciting because Jared Goff was playing last year, and
true.
We knew he was going to fail.
In fact, Mr. Pro out there, how do you feel about it? You obviously are super excited. Rams Nation plus 200 faves. Okay, congratulations, big guy. Stafford is Tommy. We don't need to call people bums around here. It's fine. He's got an opinion. He likes the Rams. He's a big Lamb fan.
Nothing wrong with the Rams.
Ain't nothing wrong with being a Lambs fan.
Nomadic Rams.
Someone had said earlier who finishes last in the NFC West this year. They said the Seahawks, or they said the Arizona Cardinals, and they called them something. I'm not sure what. In all honesty, last year we thought the NFC West was tight. This year might be a little bit tougher because I think with the addition of Matt Stafford for the Rams, they're now a more formidable foe because you don't have the gaff man.
No, I agree with that
as a signal caller. And I think they've added enough weapons now on offense for the Cardinals that even though their defense may be suspect in the secondary, they may be able to put up a lot of points, and you're going to have a lot of shootouts, and that bodes well for them with Seattle, and we saw what happened against Seattle last year. They match up pretty well with the Seahawks. I feel the conference is wide open unless the 49ers are completely healthy.
The Seahawks are going to be last place this year.
There it is.
Wow.
It'll be the Seahawks or the Rams. I think they're going to be the bottom two. The Niners and the Cardinals will be on top.
Crazy.
It's not. And then it's going to end with next year Russell Wilson being traded. Calling it now.
With Russell Wilson being traded, he's making the prediction.
The 49ers are not rebuilding. It's called reloading. You don't rebuild when you already have a great roster. You only had to keep what you needed. You had injuries that decimated the team. The Rams are the ones that are struggling because they're trading people away at will.
It's true. I mean that's how it feels right now. That's how it feels right now with most teams in the NFC West, and not even necessarily the NFC West, but a lot of teams that are pretty close to being at that echelon is they're making moves to try and get themselves over the hump. Those teams are making desperate plays to get there. Well, it feels like the Niners aren't making desperate plays. They're trying to keep what they have already intact and then add without having to pay too much. So I kind of like the position the Niners are in. I don't think we stretched ourselves too thin, but we said this last year. We said it all last year coming in preseason before the season started. We talked about how the Niners were the favorite and the team to beat in the NFL so long as they stayed healthy, and then catastrophe struck.
Right. I think that everyone's forgetting, especially the outside world that's not in the 49ers in the midst of it like we are talking about it and reading on it and learning about their team all the time, is you think that the 49ers, that 19 was just like some off season, some season that just happened and they're really not that good. They are that good. And as long as they bring all their players back, they can be that successful again. And Jason Verrett's an upgrade over Richard Sherman. So they've actually gotten better in some areas than they were in 2019 and more capable and able to play. And if things go the right way, it's going to be an issue.
True. Do we sweep the Rams this season, or should we be scared because of Stafford? I don't think we should be scared, but they're definitely more formidable.
Well, I mean, I can't sit here and guarantee a sweep. That's a tough opponent.
Well, I will say this, though, is Stafford scares me more than Goff.
Correct.
But he doesn't scare me as much as Russell Wilson does.
No.
There you go. There it is.
And I still believe it. Even last year, I believed, even when our team was completely that we had chances to beat Seattle.
The Rams' next first-round pick will be in the 22nd century. There is a chance if they keep it up.
Hey, the Seahawks pick 3 times in this whole entire draft. The 2nd, 3rd, and I think 5th round.
It looks like we had a guy who asked, did we pay Robbie Gould to make kicks or miss them? Seems like after we paid him, he started missing. Is he overpaid?
I'm going to assume we paid him to make.
If I had to go on a limb, I would say that he maybe was nicked up. He wasn't, and maybe that's why he wasn't kicking so good. But we'll see.
Maybe.
A shortened training camp for kickers is also hard because of flexibility and things that they got to get right. So a lot of people forget about that as well.
True.
But we do need him to make kicks.
The Jaguars hosted CJ Beathard today.
Yeah, I said that earlier in the live stream. Thanks for listening.
He does.
Bud.
With Ebicom signed, the possibilities of Ford maybe coming back and Bosa maybe being healthy. What is the latest we should draft an edge rusher? The latest
Depends on who.
Yeah.
It all depends on who. At 12, you don't need to take an edge rusher. But if you're in the second round somewhere, not at 43, that middle part of the second round, but maybe like you decide you want to trade up to get someone in the late second and third round, maybe even the second round at 40. Now that I'm thinking about it, just the way people have Joe Tryon, but Joe Tryon would be my first target where I would be like, man, I really want to get that guy.
Yeah.
And then I know we're all huge fans of Jordan Smith.
Yeah, I think if you're fully in to pick a DN, you got to pick him by like the third round.
I think once it gets past Jordan Smith, you're right. It gets kind of
Yeah.
And Jordan Smith's probably going to go in the third round.
Jordan Smith is the cutoff guy. If you haven't taken one before Jordan Smith, you either got to take Jordan Smith or you're not taking an edge rusher in this draft. McMahon knows. Okay.
Louis Rama.
I mean, Marking Pro, someone said earlier that he's a closet Niner fan. Niner for Life said that. Maybe he is. And whether he is or not, you should hit that subscribe button. That way you can come in the chat and get lambasted by all of our followers. That'd be great. Is Will Fuller a free agent, guys?
No.
Will Fuller signed already.
He was.
He signed with the Dolphins 1 year. It's up to like a little over $9 million. But I think his base salary is something ridiculous, like $1.5 million or something like that. Something cheap.
True.
But it might also change their draft plans, which could work in the 49ers' favor if they want to move up. I've seen someone say moving back and acquiring more picks. That is also the avenue that I believe they might go to, especially if Slater, Pinay Sewell, or somebody like that is not available at 12. You move back, there's more value in the 20 to 25 range than there is in the 15 to 20. So I think you move back. And that's where also, if there's a quarterback available, Washington and Chicago are teams to watch to come up and get somebody.
True.
Yeah, that's where we really might be able to fleece someone is if one of the quarterbacks someone really likes falls to 12.
Accurate. Very accurate. Kenny Seeger said, got to put it out there. This is the best 49er podcast out there, and I watch them all. Kenny, you are the man. We love you. We love you to death, sir. Absolutely.
He's our favorite jokey joke maker.
He is our favorite jokey joke maker. Luis Ramos says, do we trade down at 12 and acquire more draft picks? It's starting to look that way.
Yeah.
I like his other comment.
I didn't see it.
Coming.
Let's draft Sarah Fuller. That one. I don't know if she's in the draft. Is she even draft eligible? I don't think she's coming out this year. I don't think we have to worry about that at all.
Don't know.
Not even a little bit. We are going to draft for depth. Kenny, I would agree with you there. We're probably drafting for depth at a lot of positions. Although there's a lot of things that we could try and go after and do. And
well, it like we said, we always target guys, and I'm sure they do too. If you can get better at a position, you absolutely do it. That's when you say best available player. Like, people will freak out if all of a sudden the 49ers take, like, Zaven Collins, for instance, right? That's somebody that we're high on.
Yep.
But if you know that your team can get that much better by taking a player, if it's going to be an impact guy, you completely do it. Don't let him go by because you think you have a need or something. Draft one of the best players.
Yeah, definitely one of the best players. Absolutely.
Hey, it could be one of those, too. Milky.
Luis Ramos, we know you were joking, man. I think Sarah Fuller just kind of caught us off guard, in all honesty.
Yeah.
It was just a good comment, sir. It was just a good comment. Mark Graves wants to know, and we'll start with you on this one, Horst. Thanks for all the information. How much college football do you guys watch?
I would say in a normal year, a lot. Now, this year was kind of different, but I think I actually got to see more teams this year because the schedule was spread out.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the fact that our coaching schedule changed, Horst, and I wasn't coaching on Saturdays, I watched tremendously more college football this year. In fact,
much college football.
Probably from the beginning of the day till the end, I definitely watched as much as I could and loved every single second of it. When you're at home, what else are you going to do?
It's true.
Yeah.
And the best part is, too, is for us, especially, this is why a lot of this works so well and why we are able to cover so many guys, is all three of us, our favorite team is in a different conference.
It's true.
So Ant's an ACC guy, Horst is a Pac-12 guy.
And Alex switches every year.
And I'm an SEC guy.
I will tell you this. Horst knows this. I also watch USC games. I enjoy watching USC because I watched every single Pac-12 game that I could.
It's true.
The ones I wasn't, he was watching, and he would tell me what was happening while he was watching it.
Very
Those 8 p.m. starts.
It was. I'm on my way to work, and this guy's texting me. Did you just see what Oregon State did? No, man.
That's why I randomly
No, I
knew
didn't
a
see
lot
it, man.
about what's the name of the end?
But you know what we can watch, Horse? Football on our phone.
Football on your phone. That's good stuff. It's good stuff there. You know you love it.
The best sleeper in the draft is probably one of the linemen. They tend to have sleep apnea from how big they are.
The best sleeper in the draft?
Yeah.
In the whole draft.
Is that somebody that we think is gonna like? Because I have favorites. I don't know how you guys feel about this. Do you have favorites, guys that are?
I have guys that are favorites, but some of those guys are up. In terms of like actual sleepers, a guy that I think would be considered technically a sleeper because he's all over the place on boards is Marquez Stevenson. So if you don't know anything about him at all, he's a receiver from Houston. The guy's lightning quick. He's not the greatest route runner, the cleanest route runner in the world, but man, can that dude take the top off of a defense. My word, he is fast.
Hey, Adebo from Stanford.
Paulson Adebo is another one.
Yeah, that's who I was actually going to say.
100%. He could be the best corner in the entire draft, and you're probably going to be able to get him. Well, I don't know. He just ran a nice 40 time, so he may be coming up some boards.
Oh, he will. He'll be in the late third, early fourth.
You know what? I'm going to go.
But he was going in like the fifth in some mock drafts.
He was.
I'm going to go with my guy I started out with. I know he's shooting up boards. My guy Quinn Miners.
Okay, I like that.
I'm stick with Quinn.
I'm going to stick with another guy that I think could be somebody is Joshua Matterbeebe from Illinois. Used to be at USC with Horst team over there. But at the fact that he's a bigger receiver, and then he ran the 4.48, which I was concerned about the top end speed. He's Mohamed Sanu all over again. I think he would be a nice fit for somebody, and they're going to get him later in the draft, and they're going to be like, okay, this guy stepped up.
Even though USC had to cut him.
And just remember who one of my favorite guys late in the rounds was last year.
It's true.
Yeah, so
it's true. Canine Kicks.
Claypool.
No, that was my favorite guy in the entire draft.
Yeah, Chase Claypool was his favorite.
Who are you referring to?
I was referring to the guy that went to Tampa Bay, Tyler Johnson.
Yeah,
thank you.
But Chase Claypool was his favorite guy in the entire draft, and Ant was the guy who turned him on to me right before, literally, I think 3 days before the draft even happened.
Yeah,
sent me some film to watch of him. I watched his route running and was like, holy crap, how come this guy's not like a first round talent?
What's his name? Ayuko from Stanford.
Yep,
a lot like that build, 4.3 speed, but he's not as polished and not as good as Claypool, even though I think he's going to start jumping up boards because of that 4.37 at 220 pounds.
Canine Kicks earlier had asked guys, if we trade back, what QB do we draft?
It depends on, do we need to take, in which round? I think that now in the late second, early third, you're looking at Davis Mills. I honestly do. And then after that, if you're going back in the draft, I don't think there's anyone else besides, I don't know what you guys think. Maybe Kellen Mond, but Mond's now going to go late 1, early 2.
I would say no. Hard pass on Kellen Mond.
I mean, I haven't watched as much on Kellen Mond as I started watching. I told Horace I took the deep dive into Davis Mills.
That's the one I need to do.
I watched 3 games of every single offensive snap. He really grew on me compared to some of the other guys.
The thing about,
you should call Jason, figure it out.
Maybe.
Why would I call Jason?
The thing about Kellen Mond, everybody, and I know there's a lot of hype around him. I've watched a lot of film of him because SEC. I watch a butt ton of SEC games, but Kellen Mond has been inconsistent his entire career at Texas A&M. Doesn't matter who the coordinator is. He had a great freshman year, and then he's been all up and down. And if you watch the Senior Bowl, you watch the footwork, you watch some of the timing on routes, it's just not there. And where his projected value now is in that early first, late second, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. There's so many other things you can do and so many other positions you can add. And I think there's some guys that are probably a little bit cleaner at the quarterback position you can get later that are going to have the same developmental issues or things they need to work on and develop as a Kellen Mond. They probably just don't have the athleticism or the arm, as much arm talent as he potentially has. But footwork issues, reading coverage issues, they're going to have the same sort of things that you draft in a young rookie quarterback. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense for me value-wise. You don't get a whole lot more from Kellen Mond that you can get from a guy like Shane Buechele.
Well, I think
I'm glad I'm behind on the chat. I'm really glad.
I'm
really glad.
I think that there's those top 5 guys,
Correct.
And then I think there is 2 guys that are separating themselves from the rest of the pack with with Kellen Mond and Davis. And I think that those guys are going to be there kind of in that mid-range. And then I think after that kind of gets a little sketchy, and then all of a sudden you get into Shane Bichelle and Ellinger. So it all depends on how much you value a quarterback. I would say if the Niners don't go quarterback in round 2 or 3, they might do it.
Roy Boy just asked my favorite question of the day.
Did he? He's being a good chat member now, is he? He's not getting his messages
What is it,
back.
Horst?
I like it.
If we have any thoughts on the UFC safety, I think it would be great to replace Tart. If we're referring to Taloa Hufanga,
He's been waiting a long time to say that, ladies and
Alex
gentlemen.
doesn't like him because he's good,
That's
and
what
he
it
watches
is.
Florida, so they don't have good players.
That's what it is.
So he doesn't
Yeah.
like him.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But Taloa, in all reality, Hufanga's he's probably a 4th, 5th round guy. He's not a high draft pick. I think he's got some potential, but he was one of those guys that was a really good college player. I'm not sure that he's quite athletic enough to play safety in the NFL. Maybe in the box. I don't think he can play over the top. I don't think he'll fit with the Niners because they want those guys to be interchangeable.
I think that he is a box safety. You're completely right. And the speed thing is what jumped off film. Is he's just a little bit slower, a step slower. I think if he was faster, he would be a 1st or 2nd round talent. So I think you're 100% right on that.
Bradley Jones said Gold was on McAfee a couple weeks ago and said that he had pulled a groin for the second part of the season. Sounds about right.
I think it's true. I think he was hurt. He just didn't look right.
But that's a
Samoan
shout out to him though for just playing through it and not making a big deal out of it, doing his job, being a professional.
Yeah.
Doing it to the best of his abilities. That's what you're looking for. And when you get a guy who signed a contract like that, you got guys that are playing through injuries every day as a kicker. Got to suck it up, even though a groin is a pretty bad thing for a kicker to have to play through.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. The one thing I will give Hufanga, and these guys both know it's why I love him so much, is when he ran down USC's sideline throwing up the V for victory at the end of the game last year.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorite USC moments of the last decade. So he'll always have a special place in my heart for that.
Always, huh? Always a special place in your heart. Just for that.
Trojan lore.
That makes Trojan lore? Really?
Well, there's a lot of it, all 11 national championships.
So, Horst, should the 49ers just wait and get a quarterback next year like Caden Slovis?
No.
Wait, why not? He's a USC quarterback. Those always pan out.
No.
No? Under no circumstances.
Still no. I'm so surprised.
Just a no. Nothing. No elaboration. Just no.
I did see another Jimmy Garoppolo cut Jimmy Garoppolo, use the money to sign other guys.
One of the guys was Will Fuller.
Yeah, Will Fuller's gone, so that won't work that way. I understand what people are trying to say is to free up the cap space, build the rest of the team, draft a rookie. The problem is which rookie, because more than likely Wilson and Trevor Lawrence are gone at 1 and 2.
They're gone.
So if you're coming up, is it Justin Fields? Is it Trey Lance? Who is it? Mac Jones? I don't know if one of them are better equipped this year to lead the offense. We've already talked about this before, that the offense is so hard to learn. Would it be almost impossible to expect a rookie quarterback to come in? I think if the rookie quarterback was coming in week 8, week 9 to take over, you have a possibility of him taking over and leading the team. But I think if he's coming in from day 1 and being expected to lead the team, it might be a lot to ask, even if it is somebody like Davis Mills that went to Stanford and is super smart.
He is super smart. They're all super smart.
Kyle Trask is the next Josh Freeman.
I mean, I could see it. You guys know I'm not big and high on Mr. Trask. I haven't been high on him at all. I mean, he was playing really well. I told you how surprised I was by how well he was playing.
You're just afraid that you're going to agree with Grant Cohn again.
Many Christmas.
Megan really has a Geno Atkins.
Do you guys know Dalen Hayes? I'm not very familiar.
I'm not
with
as
Dalen
familiar
Hayes.
with Dalen Hayes, so
I'm not going to go ahead and say that I'm very familiar with them. So
we would definitely have to circle back to you on that, sir.
Yeah, I'm not 100% on him. I'll have to look it up. I'm more than happy to do that too.
Yeah.
Anytime that there's a guy that we don't know, I'm all in for looking at him.
Correct. And we do have our biases, so there's guys that we are looking at heavier and more than maybe we should. But we there's 3 of us, so we hope that there's enough interest here
that
between the 3 of us that we'll catch as many as we can. Thank you for trashing Cone. You're welcome, Bradley.
Yeah, you're welcome, Bradley.
We try not to trash too hard.
We're not trashing.
A little bit. Speaking truth?
We're speaking...
Truth to power?
Well, we're just trying to be direct. As he's direct to the 49ers.
True.
And his hate of like Mike McGlinchey and everything, we're direct about our feelings about him doing that.
Accurate.
Yeah.
Accurate. Also, glad to add someone from Australia, by the way.
Big time. Yeah.
Big
Welcome.
fan of the Down Under.
Yeah.
32 watching
It's
equals
okay.
at least 32 likes. Come on, guys. Canine Kicks, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Gary's been plugging it all night long as well. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Smash that thing. Hit it hard. Not
I'm still
too hard,
kind of
though.
upset about Jared Hayne, to be honest.
You're upset about Jared Hayne not panning out? Were you a big Jared Hayne fan?
He's from Australia.
I'm aware that he's from Australia.
Yeah, I mean, he did find a nice big hole, in the preseason, so he's got that going for him.
It's true.
Did the Lamb leave?
Yeah, he went to Rombo. Someone said that.
Oh,
earlier.
He went to
over
Rombo?
there. No, there's Rombo.
I think
love me some
I
Rombo.
think we're
Good
pretty
guy.
close to being done. We do need to talk about Josh Rosen.
No, I mean, we can take
We-
a couple
we-
more
couple more
questions from
questions.
chat.
Some more
right?
questions than Josh Rosen.
All right, we'll go three. 3 questions from you,
And
chat.
I'm not counting the lamb liquor as a question.
No, that's not. That doesn't count.
It was
Gary,
funny, Gary, but I'm not.
do you guys live in the Bay?
No.
No.
We live in the valley. We are about an hour and a half-ish away from San Francisco. We could drive to Levi Stadium in about an hour and 10 minutes, something like that.
Oh, and this doesn't count as one of our questions, but I don't really hate Hayne. I was just joking, buddy.
That's true. True. No,
He's better at rugby, so he went back to rugby. I have no issue with that.
Yeah, you know what? He
he-
actually didn't do too bad considering
He'd never played.
before. I thought he did actually. That's what I'm saying. In the preseason, he found that hole right away and got that big run. I was like, geez. The fact that he was able to translate is pretty impressive.
it is.
Yeah, he's a fantastic athlete.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it really is.
All right, 2 more questions, chat. 2 more
From
questions.
AZ,
Wait a little bit.
Arizona, nice.
Watching from AZ.
Gary said to make sure and wait
That's
for
awesome.
the Rosen.
Wait a little bit for
You're
Rosen.
right.
I agree.
Hey, that's
Rosen's-
Canine Kicks, right?
Yes.
Because we have a friend that lives in Arizona and he says he never sees any Cardinal fans. Do you know any Cardinal fans?
That's a good question right there. It's a question from us to you, K9.
Yeah.
Gary, he is in Rombo now, we figured.
Yeah.
Good. He can go bother.
You can go bother Ronbo
Yeah.
for a while.
Maybe Rombo
Give
will
us
kick
a
him
break.
out. Yeah, he's annoying. He's a little annoying. So you can still hit that subscribe button though. We did pick up another subscriber. Let me check Stream Elements to see if we got
Myron Edwards?
whoever it was. It wasn't Myron Edwards.
Wasn't
It
Myron
Myron
Edwards.
Edwards.
Okay.
Was not Myron. They are not publicly subbed, but they are subbed to the channel. We know
we
that.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Ooh, man, we're covering all over the place right now. Not sure if I missed your response, but what will the running game look like with the new OC?
I think it's going to look similar. I think it's going to look real similar. Mike McDaniel was he was the run game coordinator last year. Now he's translating into the offensive coordinator. Look for the same creativity that you saw before. I think where you're going to see the difference is in the passing game. I think it's going to be a little bit different than it was, which it probably did need a little bit of an improvement. But from everything I heard with Kyle Juszczyk, Mike McDaniel's one of the big reasons he wanted to come back. McDaniel's a genius when it comes to scheming up offensive stories or offensive game plans. I said stories because I want to tell you, if you haven't listened to the Mike McDaniel story, go listen to it. Matt Miyoko did a nice interview with him. It's fantastic, just learning how he grew up. Went to Broncos camp over the summer because he had no babysitter, and he ended up there and spending a lot of time there, and that's how he got into football.
And Vancouver, British Columbia here,
Nice.
Washington. I love it, man. We're covering the map.
We
I
got
love it.
Indiana.
Yeah, we do have Indiana as well.
Colts fan.
I do. Bradley Jones said, I reckon their dream is getting Rodgers next year. I'm assuming he means Aaron Rodgers.
I think that's almost everyone's dream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be
So-
great.
I just don't know.
Portland.
I don't know if they're going to let him go. Oh, nice. Portland.
Reno Garcia, too.
I
That's
like
a
Portland. I've
that's a
been
new
there.
one as well.
Most annoying fan base, I'm going to say there's 2.
Uh-oh.
One is Seattle because, unless I'm not talking about people from the Northwest,
Okay.
I am talking about as far as them having a ton of bandwagon fans around here.
Ooh, Steve Lodgett.
You never saw anyone in a Seahawks jersey until about 7-8 years ago.
Steve Largent.
Number 2, to me, for some reason, is Saints fans.
Saints fans, really?
Living where we live, I have to go with the Raiders. I have to. Oakland Raider. I'm going to say Oakland Raider fans were some of the. Just worse. If you're an Oakland Raider fan and you know football, we can have a nice conversation. I will agree with you. I went to a lot of Raider games throughout the years. I will say this, though. Most of them do not know what they're talking about, which is a real problem for me. And Cowboys fans also are annoying.
Jaron just said Cowboys. We agree with you there, Jaron.
Yeah.
Cowboys fans can be fairly annoying at times.
New England fans?
New England fans. Oh, that's a sting
From herself.
from her own self.
Yeah.
It's self-deprecating humor, I guess.
Bless you.
Do you guys think she did ask?
True story. Yep.
That was a kid from Pretty Willie.
Yeah,
That's
the last
incredible.
true Warriors fan was Danny Tanner as well.
Also true.
Yep.
Very accurate. Last question that we'll get to here. Do you guys think there's going to be any big surprises left in free agency?
Well, who are the players that could be surprises?
So I take this question when she asked that, I take that question to mean surprises in free agency. I don't mean necessarily free agent signings, but just surprises. Maybe guys getting cut, trades.
for the
things.
Niners or for the league?
I would say for the Niners. I think the biggest surprise would be cutting or dealing Jimmy and making a move on a quarterback.
Yeah, I think that would be
the biggest
surprising.
surprise.
I am operating under the thought process that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the starting quarterback in 2021.
Yeah, so am I.
I think until the draft comes, I think that is how I need to operate and just plan for. And I'm all behind Jimmy Garoppolo until that happens. So
Shout out to Kenny Seeker for spamming the Rombo live stream with tune into the 49ers Cutback podcast. In fact, y'all, as soon as we're done in here, go raid, and I will pull up Ronbo's stream right now. I want you all to go in there and raid his stream and just spam 49ers Cutback.
this guy.
Just one time, just to let him know that we're here and that we're thinking about him, that we love Ronbo Sports. And make sure that you tell him that we love Ronbo. The 49ers Cutback loves
Spurs
Ronbo.
suck Texas. I like it.
They're not very fun. But you know what? Hey, you know what? I almost forgot. I was so busy trying to find the link to put up here, guys.
And Megan said the league.
The league.
She wants to know the league, the biggest surprise that will still come.
Okay, biggest surprise in the league still to come.
I think OBJ gets traded.
You think so?
Yeah.
That's a bold one. I like that. I do like that idea. I don't know if it'll actually happen, but I mean, I think that's a bold strategy. It could work. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Carson went back to Seattle today.
I don't think there's anything in the league-wise right now that would be super shocking in terms of a move being made, unless it was a franchise quarterback from a team being cut or dealt.
Or Andrew Luck coming back.
That would be a big surprise.
Or Ezekiel Elliott being traded.
That would be big too. I could see that those are two things. Or if, like Grant Cohn was suggesting the other day, if somehow Fred Warner got dealt for like a first-round pick or something.
Or if the Lord took Jerry Jones home with him.
Jesus Christ, man!
No trading of Fred Warner, please.
If Fred Warner gets dealt, it would be a very sad day because not only will Fred Warner be gone, but Grant Cohn would have said something that was accurate for once.
Yeah,
that's a bold strategy, Cotton. Definitely is. Definitely.
And we appreciate the view as well. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
All the new people who are here today.
Thank you.
Love having you. Love you being a part of this. 100%. Thank you for the great content, boys. We appreciate it. Roy Soy especially. Man, you're a new guy. We like having you here.
Yep.
But guys, we have to try and get
All
to
right,
this.
we got to finish this with Josh Rosen.
Listen, it's not like we got to spend a lot of time on this. We don't.
Alex,
have to
you've
spend
been trying. Let me start this one this time. Maybe it'll go a little better than last time. So, Josh Rosen, tough beginning to his career. High draft pick.
I can't do it.
Sorry,
Josh Rosen, we're out of time. We'll get you on the next one.
Don't do it.
Hey, guys, you know what time it is?
No, it's
Let's
not.
Chalk another one
it's
up.
not. It's gonna.
All right, Josh Rosen, we got you on the next one.
He's never going to come on.